Yensan mo akwa bio from bra Amansa television. Do you go do yes e alphabet jubeze na yes bro ha. Eko Facebook nso a botuma kan ho ATVGH ATV_Ghana business Kukuwas need Michaels na say mo ara yeah tired to say then go for ho ada was it where you want sika was if you want phone do obi o ho so actually sika was a free the bank account mu anaso put the mobile money wallet do enti wa ma wa baba ye o hawkers papa say am in fact da me azusue ne pede yesua no oye ye share afe foforo na ase na ne pede da me nhwehwe no na so adagir ambem osana na nsama hopi so kodo wo omani mu hana Mosa, I don't know, see Oracle fight because a lot of people are speaking against it, and also a lot of people are complaining. The Mazi worry film. No, what? Sebe, wohu, nyata kakra, utumobo wanzi wahuban, but eben bambumpo inebutum eze abo usika, ogu mobile wallet, do anasumpo de, ogu bank account ma, dama or how we intum ara na enfim. Tanape, yapa washa the responsibility of the customer when it comes to how to avoid social engineering scams, because sometime last month we had social engineering, so ochaden yaka social engineering or chaden ebanaze and how does that even relate to yenisika warrior or kwan bond was if you mobile wallet draw and afi bank account man payments aka ahoho ebien waha mo ni ajete of free village mines production no abaka na sa and afi Christina Swan Awaga na so abakena sa Christina or your director fintech management solutions and anope wobobwa amayenya nyimzi ma wona kwaba okay ya number copy nti everybody to makasa fast but so just try to keep up with me.
Sure.
Okay, yaka social engineering no ya but menye Christina Nshase.
Well, first of all, social engineering sounds like a big word. It's quite a huge jargon for some people because they don't understand what it means. And basically, social engineering has to do with how people relate with each other. That's just what it is. Okay. It's a matter of familiarity, who you know, companies that you know. And so the scammers tend to use that sort of kind of avenue to get to persons, to get information, important information from them that they need to be able to scam them. Okay. So they may try to work with maybe the company that you're working with. And these are some informations that they gather from your social media pages. Sometimes you post where you are working. Sometimes you post who your family members are. Sometimes you post events that you went to. Okay. And so they look at those kind of familiar territories and individuals to contact you with so that you will feel comfortable to share certain kind of information. And so that's really what social engineering is about. Okay. It's about actually looking at familiar areas or familiar persons who you may know that they may be able to gather information from you easily.
Okay.
Yes.
I we've made them public and they tend to use them against us.
Yes.
Okay, all right. My membra yana ho be yin in so do na na so nchem for me. Christina no ka profu pido. Iti ya baba in Sherman yenya akan kasa nso wom kakra. Elsa ne yenu anum na wo hye hinterlantina ya pede what I say. I was somewhere sometime last week now. One na many one thing. Irababi onya message on the phone was on click on a link be. So it came out, the conversation started again, and then you tend to realize that you know you go social media na ya trouble fankers and you go say na you're far dem ohowe munti mamuma ni na so ombre mu kakra ni oban dem nzame ya yezugu abwanu ya obi ohobaka dem man family pin anto bebiara. I didn't let anybody know my PIN code or my passcode. Nobody knows my passwords to my phone, to my email, my bank account. But Nkrofo Otumara Wuhu was one account to one also able to match residents.
That's very okay. We didn't mess say me blendy.
You know. Okay.
I told you they only say Ghanaians, that sort of trust. And our curiosity is so much high in the sense that we are sending baby. By say Nipani Yawunia and now are down for until 1 year time and be sunny pani say I didn't say now we send a link ni then important what exactly does the link represent. but just because it's from a friend or a relative, just right away, then we just click on it because we are even curious to know. Even not far ago, I mean, recently, when you go on Telegram, people have started hacking people's account on Telegram.
Okay.
Over one nipa send you message say there is a photo of you on this site, and then there is a link like that. Nipa na send you and nipa na send you sad na in that sort of hurriedness. Now, what tap it that link, you know, just the moment you tap the link, then the hackers on that site takes your confidential matters, and then they not process it by taking your account from you, because just the way I mentioned, it's because of trust and our curiosity. You're trusting people so easily, and we are so curious to know say so we don't really ask the ifs and the whys and hows, and just right away we only link now then pam. So it's because of these two things, and once we are able to work on it as a Ghanaians, and not only Ghanaians, as an African and as an individual, a time will come all these individuals will not get access to us anymore.
Okay, so you would like to come in?
Yes, I would like to also add that there are sometimes other areas. You mentioned earlier about your password and nobody knowing your password, etc. Sometimes there are simple areas such as free Wi-Fi, like we've mentioned previously. You would tap into it, but they will ask you certain kind of information and they want you to log in. And sometimes you log in and you enter the details. By entering the details, you've just offered the details for free, because they can now access your details and use it back against you. And so that's where they get your password and all the other information, because you are very anxious to want to use the free Wi-Fi, because of course you want to be on social media, you want to do other things. So for you think it's safe, and that's where we are talking about social engineering, about places that we think are safe, the people we think are safe, the companies that we think are safe. They are gathering information from us.
Okay. In me use a public Wi-Fi, and also put the public PC. Now we'll put in my password, so will be some the EPD machine and your recognizer. I shouldn't click on it. Don't recognize it. No,
if you don't recognize it, you shouldn't try to click on it at all. There are also sometimes misspelling of words, right? Sometimes it might say the company's name, but when you look at further details, you would realize that it's not actually the company that's giving you that free Wi-Fi. So look for misspelling of names, look for, even when you get emails, to ensure that it says @gmail.com, or sometimes there's a misspelling in the name but it looks very similar to that of which you know. You have to look for those things as well, because that is one of the ways that you get caught.
Okay, so my last name is Need Michaels. Just Kukua Michael without the S. Now why it's there? I mean, I'm sending the mail.
Exactly.
And the person might feel on him, and so the mail might be coming from me. So we should even be very cautious about where mails are coming from and what the contents of the mails are before we click on it.
True.
All right. So back to your passwords na mayazoto yenisikato your bank account. No. Most of us will just forget, so we would use the easily remembered ones, the ones that we can easily remember. In date of birth.
Yes.
Date of birth.
Yes.
Date of birth. Them kind of these young children. One information with them. Is it wise? Chris, I'll come to you. Mama Brother first.
One thing about password is confidential matters, and it shouldn't be in a way say nipa bet me guess it.
Okay.
Nipa bet me guess who password, and it just said password in your strong. And say, in as much as people say say mean to mean kai, and to me you see be met me something about me that I can easily relate or I can easily remember, but that isn't the best way, because if you do that password in terms of your date of birth, in terms of your perhaps your girlfriends or your boyfriends, or even your siblings, their date of birth, people can easily get it, and it's something now before even ID card or let me guess you also. And say what is best that you do is that in as much as you may forget it, you can mix it with maybe symbols, numbers, letters, so that a bad diam or beer or teenager guess it. Because me use 1 2 ABC. There is a mix of letters and all those things in it. So the best say one of the creating of awareness here say let's always know how to blend some characters in our password when we are generating our password, because we are I'm will be out nature. Then we say, oh, when you password here, the date of birth. We can password here 1 2 3 4 5 6. And to nipan found or found account or try 1 2 3 4 5 6. Or then we say, oh, simple one pestres and to bear 1 2 3 4 5 6. But that shouldn't be it. You bet me cry use 1 2 3, but different symbols. More a bad diamond nipan use and see a best say who use password that makes it characters. One, will be really fear, strong will be a so that we fear now I call on Akoshe. Now I use it.
Okay. Christina, my member Odo. Tedama ni rekan. That is the ideal and that is the best way able to protect usika or bank account to mu and also put the phone to mobile wallet to. But the advent and now the influx of mobile money has made it possible for the unbanked to have access to monies on their wallets and stuff like that. And most of them no sabe when you crash your phone and rubber phone. So how would you advise someone also in generating passwords and passwords? Obi on him asterisk, on him hashtag, on him star that was about to get a phone. Or mobile wallet. Indeed, you can say we crossing now. If you one co school and one co enrich, what should that person also do? I'm sorry then.
Well, they can actually try to change their password regularly in addition to having a complex password.
Oh, so what? No, what's the same?
Yeah, so you don't keep the same password all the time. You try to change it. Another thing too is that our phones have two-factor authentication. That might be a little bit difficult for them to maybe understand because we're talking about the unbanked. But through education, we need to show them how to download apps to help them remember the passwords as well, so that they wouldn't write it on sticky notes and stick it on their computer, certain places where they shouldn't, that is public, but it should be only accessible to them. And so in this case, you want to say to them, download Google Factor Authentication, and that way it will create a number for you, and then when you enter that number from your Google Authentication app, then it will securely log you in, right? One of the things that he mentioned earlier was about the complexity of the password, as well as I do believe that we as individuals, there are things about us that is not public. Right? And we maybe could tap into those things to also try to create our passwords as well. Avoid adding our names. Avoid adding children names. Avoid adding familiar things. We make mistakes. We go on social media and we post our kids' birthday. We post our families gathering, social gathering. We post our marriage anniversaries and all of those things. So it's public information. So you don't use that as a password for your social media handles or for your mobile money wallets or for your bank accounts. And try as much as possible to vary the passwords. Don't have the same password for every wallet that you have or every bank account that you have.
That was my next question. That's how I can easily remember my email, my wallet, everything.
No, a hacker hack you once and he hack everything that you has. Exactly. Because he's going to go try everything else. Once he gets through with one, in a wink of an eye, by the time you figure out one, the others are gone.
Everything is gone.
Exactly. And so another thing that we also have to try to do as well to always make sure that we keep abreast with our accounts is check our statements. Somehow we hate to check our statements, we hate to check our balances. When someone calls you especially and they say, oh, I'm calling from MTN, or we are changing from one platform to another, we would like to help you in terms of changing your details so that you can now be on our new platform. You get that a lot. Sometimes you even get it in WhatsApp where they send you this message and they say that they are now changing platforms. You are not sure if that's a person. So what you want to do is either say to them, I'll get back to you. Can you call me back at a certain time? So you don't make them suspicious that you realize that it's something funny, but you also want to safeguard yourself. You call a company on a secured number that you know, and you try to verify with them, please, are you changing your platform? Because someone just contacted me saying that they are changing their platform. Is that person legit? If they confirm yes, yes, then when the person calls back, you can continue. When the person calls back, well, you don't wait until the person calls back. If they say no, at that point, you share the number with them of who called you and contacted you, and let them know that this is a number contacting you, so that you also help to avoid that from happening to other people at the same time. Because they are not doing you only, it's a whole entire team that's working on the scam. So these are some of the things that we want to try to do to avoid the scam.
Okay. So with my conversation with these people that I said I met over the last weekend, once on a watch, I'm a hairdresser, seamstress, cajon, and they were telling me how they and people they know have been through these scams. Some they got, some they were smart enough. But one thing that struck me was, one of you mentioned curiosity.
Yes.
One thing that struck me was how certain persons would stay on the phone for minutes on end, listening to strangers they don't know. No one you want to drink more. Is it because we are bored? And now we are. Is it a curiosity? Because one story that I was told, this young girl that has traveled to Ikroka Simdoba Be Juma, why a child be Juma Christmas, we see Sika Kakra Ozroko. And she got this call, and there's a guy on your bonkomona, Bessia mind, or the man will be said Bisana quotes and the password in. After about 30 minutes of this conversation, Oko checking Nisika and Nisika Yina Oko, and it was through that. Why do we entertain such calls? Is it the way they approach us on the call? No, they come with some familiarity, and so we can't suspect. Another, we are just curious. Some people sometimes, when others fall prey, we think they are stupid.
True.
Are we stupid to fall prey?
No, it's
okay, all right. It's one shamase. One show I say. I will be fall the probianka there, and I said, "We Jimmy on a woman on when now."
No.
If you're betting me now, what's when you're
No, Ghanaians actually, in the very simple term, Ghanaians are people that are hospitable.
Okay.
We know how to entertain and welcome an individual. So the moment you try to leverage that particular spot, that soft spot of a person, you are good to go.
Okay.
So until we come to the realization, say, it is not everyone that you need to open your arms to and just give your way out. If the person is someone unnamed, then it doesn't give you that opportunity. You detail and now be catch any personal things or personal details, and that is something that is about our stage play that we are coming on the second way.
Okay.
We have created a very scene that you do not need to share your personal details over the phone, knowing the fact that you don't know the person. Because if I don't know you, then what's the point of me entertaining you and giving you my personal details? So it is about time that we let Ghanaians aware, or Africans aware, that yes, we are nice, we are hospitable, we know how to welcome people, but then again, it shouldn't give us the opportunity to give people our private matters or our private things or our personal details. Because even in our home settings, when you get a stranger and the stranger wants to use the washroom, we send the stranger to our various washroom that we use. This should tell you that we open our arms too much. So yes, we are curious. Yes, we want everybody to know that we are nice and hospitable. So yes, we are nice and hospitable, but it's about time for us to understand that it is not always the point to prove or to make the person validate with the microphone but the person can say, and just say nipa no personal details nature say who nice person now, who someone you respect or someone who don't nipa. No, who bet me a don't nipa. Now so and say who be shared personal details to the person. And say who don't nipa now you be. One thing about people, especially people you don't know, if they get your personal details and your private details, you are doomed. You are doomed because only motive or original edi bisa questions no. And it's answer no, then you are doomed. And that is something that our upcoming stage play, Cyber Heist, all these things are highlighted in it, so that Ghanaians will now get to know that these are some of the things they use, the approachable the pacho bibia boko. So the moment we hear the pacho bibia boko, nipa ni boadie.
Okay.
And nipa ni boadie
let your guard down. Agogo.
Yeah, and him say, Obi ye me pacho, then it means the person respects. And anyone that we respect, we try to accommodate that person. And that is where the danger comes in.
In this case, as we are wrapping up, Christina, what do you advise? If an able to me in yana sabeya ko school in the long run, able boy huban obitum nyahen. If we fall prey, damana, what can we do? And now soon put the winya hen and the winya hen. We've lost everything.
Wow. When you lost everything, it is quite hard to help at that point. So
to get it back is difficult.
That's why I took the deep breath at the time when you said that, because the only thing you can try to do at that point is to try to contact the company of whom you are collecting the service from, whether it be a telco or whether it be a fintech company or whether it be a bank that you are working with. And it's that is why we are trying to do the education now, to avoid you from getting to that point where you would lose everything, because losing everything and trying to get it back, it's going to be very, very difficult. Our scammers are very educated. They are very talented. A lot of them were even past employees of these companies that we are talking about. And so they have already known their way in and their way out, the escape route. And a lot of the times, for example, there was a time I went on social media, we went to buy a couch, we sent the money. By the time you call the telcos and they are trying to reverse the money, that process already takes too long. It's not an instant reversal. Now, by the time they try to get to that account to reverse, the person already withdrawn the money. And when that happens, they either get rid of the chip, they cancel the account or something, and then there's no way to actually trace the individual. And that has happened to us in the past. And so I will say, avoid waiting until you lose everything. And try to get to the point where you are more alert and vigilant of those things. Now, that is just a matter to say about passwords and people getting access to your account, etc., etc. But there are other ways apart from that we actually didn't mention. And it's a familiar way. It's a way where someone called and said, "Oh, I accidentally I'm trying to get through with John. Oh, this is not John's number. Oh, sorry. I thought it was John's number. Oh, but you have a lovely voice. Can I be your friend?" This is how it comes, and I get it a lot. Now, what is very tricky about that, especially as an individual, when you are a public person, you also try not to be aggressive with people. You try not to be too arrogant. You try not to be too, because people can also take that and turn it against you. And so you try to say, okay, hi, how are you, blah, 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 and then you cut the call. But then they would try and call again. And they would call again and say, "Oh, hi, it was the person who called earlier, whatever. That happened to me some time back. And I actually had to, I got really upset or pissed off after a while, because he got to the point where he called now to say that he was at a police station and he bounced a lady accidentally, and that he needed to pay 5,000 cedis for the lady's hospital bills, and that he didn't have. And is it possible for me to help? Can I send him 5,000 cedis?
Within those few minutes or hours now, also started off from or register.
I'm like, what? I don't know you from anywhere.
I'm sure you sounded very nice on the phone. Too hospitable.
You see, so these are the areas that we want to also avoid. People being friendly, young people being a bit anxious about relationship, people giving you affirmation and telling you are beautiful, you are attractive, you are this, you are that. They fall prey to these things even on social media. And that's when they start giving information that they shouldn't give. Because eventually that person starts sounding like, oh, they want to have a relationship with you.
So because Christina or call staff one way or some of these companies, let's take a look at this. So BOG has reported that in 2024, staff fraud cases in banks hit 365.
Yes.
And I would want us to touch on that as well. Sometimes to them we are too trusted, no.
Yes.
ATM bama will be especially in a young school person. Bank account bank tell an young uncle check your ATM, how to set up the PIN and everything. Oh, I have worked in e-commerce before that people were willing to give me their Visa card details on the phone. They didn't know me, they not seen me before on the phone, and these were not sebi the ordinary Ghanaian. These were elite bankers, CEOs. And I would ask them, sir, why wouldn't you want to do it? It's too complicated. It's too complicated.
Yes.
And these are people that are highly educated. Why do we tend to do that? And how dangerous is it to trust staff who work in the banking sector, e-commerce, and the telcos? Yes, the details, but one of them. Can they also take advantage of us?
Of course they can.
Okay.
And it comes back to technology.
Okay.
Honestly, not everyone is very open or welcoming to technology. Technology sometimes scares some people. And just the whole idea of you telling them of a list of processes that you want them to go through, by the time you finish, they tell themselves already that they don't want to do this.
Okay.
So please, can you do it for me? And that's when they pass over the responsibility that they should keep for themselves onto you, hoping that because you are a staff, you would be trustworthy enough. And so what happens there is that staff tend to collect those information. And a lot of the time, they don't use it at the time. They use it after they left the company, because a lot of the times, they join those companies to gather information, not to actually honestly work. And during that period, they are gathering information. Information about clients as well as information about staff. So what they tend to do is, as a staff, they tend to befriend you. And you leave your computer unattended. That's one of the things that we also have within the Play on Me second, that we want people to come and see. It is very easy for it to happen. You don't log off every time you get up from your computer to go to the washroom or to go have lunch or etc. Your manager call you, just get up, you run. You did not close your computer. Now the person who's sitting next to you has access to your computer. In doing that, they gather the information from their co-workers. And a lot of the times after they left, they use the same co-worker details because they realize that that co-worker does not change their password. One, that co-worker password is very simple to remember, and so they come back and they use it again. So we have staff against staff, as well as we have staff using clients' information.
Okay. Christina Swan, our guy director, FinTech Management Solutions, Onyetni Ajate, faculty actor, Village Minds Productions, and one T-shirt, and they kept letting us do it. And they have a production coming up on the 2nd, Cyber Heist.
Yes.
So tell us where we can get the tickets aside the dialing of the *712 *33 *092 hash. And for the video tickets to be, and where is it happening?
Okay, well, all the tickets right now are online.
Okay.
You will have to either go onto the website, or you will have to dial the code to get it.
Okay.
As well as we do have free offers. So we have some billboards that are on strategic positions in Accra.
Okay.
We are saying to persons, go there, take a picture of yourself with the billboard and send it to us, or you can go on social media, post it, tag Ghana FinTech and Payments Association and say Me Too Challenge.
Me Too.
And then in that way, we will give you 2 free tickets.
Okay.
Right?
All right. If you didn't start this conversation with us, you may have lost something, but you can always go back on Facebook, ATVGH in the AFE, ATV_Ghana. It's been very revealing, enlightening, and very educative. Thank you very much, guys, for your time. Ms. Nazik, Kukua, Sneed, Michaels. I'll see you again this evening. Mazayan Akan Amansa, 6 p.m. And I'm Ms. Bebroba. Thank you very much for making time with us this morning. I'll see you again. Bye.